in terms of developing some of these new propositions, what do you see as the main challenges, either from an industry perspective or from HSBC's perspective, in being able to achieve or deliver these and achieve scale?
So I think you have to separate payments and data to some extent. For payments, I think one of the key challenges is resilience. Thanks to firms like Mastercard, we have all got used to a world where payments work virtually flawlessly. So for any new rail to try and pick up and maintain that existing customer experience, it's pretty challenging. If I look at how we're performing now, we're better than 99% up for open banking payments. To my most measures, that's extremely good for a very young channel, but it's not as good as a credit card. And we have some work to do to get to that point. And until I think you hit those levels of resilience, it's going to be very hard to bring merchants and customers to use this because there is an existing well-functioning ecosystem. I think the second gap on payments is around customer protection. If we just look at the pandemic and the impact that's had on all of us as personal customers, if you'd made a payment via a fast payment for a holiday, you have no protection. If you've made it via a credit card, you have substantial protection in most markets, whether that's via legal instruments or via chargeback and other scheme rules. So right now, if you're making a high value payment, which one would you choose to make, even if the technical rail were fully resilient for direct bank-to-bank payments? So until we address some of those gaps, I think we should expect there will be a slow rate of uptake for certain use cases. And so for me, if payments is going to take off in open banking, or when payments are going to take off, it needs to be addressing new use cases which don't need those same features. And there are many use cases where credit cards don't work. And similarly for data, I think Chris touched on the point that the data points available under regulation are well suited to certain narrow use cases, but there's an awful lot more you have to make available to drive innovation. The problem with doing that unilaterally as a firm, and I do take Jim's challenge that large firms do need to take some risk. The problem with being unilateral is I can't commercialize if I'm the only firm who's exposing the data. I've already got that data. So to make this work, you have to have significant market share making that data point available. And that's the chicken and egg problem. So you do need a coordinating actor in the ecosystem which encourages and helps firms bring these things through so that they can create benefit for themselves, i.e. their customers, because that's the only way we benefit, and also for other actors who are seeking to serve our customers. And that takes time, and it also takes, I think, the right institutional framework to bring that together.
Thank you. So,
Rory, can I just make a quick point there? Actually?
Please do.
I strongly agree with what Hetal was just saying around the kind of need for customer protection and stuff like that, to kind of really help payments, open banking payments, and particularly in the consumer space, to really become or to reach their potential. And it's something we've kind of talked about a few times in various different forums. Strongly agree with that need. Just for interest, I guess, and anybody on the call who's listening who wants to participate, we talked about we're building a thing called Resolve, which is kind of essentially a dispute resolution arbitration type service. We're just about to start recruitment for a pilot of that here in the UK. So if anyone on the line, bank, TPP, acquirer, etc., would be interested in participating in that non-commercial pilot, really just to kind of see how things play out. To Hetal's point, to some extent, large or small organisations perhaps taking a bit of risk to help move the things forward. Very happy to kind of talk about that and get you involved in that.